Welcome back to Breaking Bread. We're anxious to conclude and finish up this important conversation about living joyously in the journey. Brothers Brian Sutter and Kaleb Beyer back with me. Thanks for coming, guys.
Good to be here, Matt.
Thanks.
We're going to talk about childlikeness.
Yeah.
Awesome. Saving the best for last.
That's right. Yeah.
What do we have to look forward to, Brian?
Yeah, it's just a great opportunity to step back and learn from the young hearts that are around us that many times do life and have joy in life so much better than we do.
Living in childlikeness. What does that mean, Kaleb?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely, this isn't about being childish, right? We want to first clarify this. That's a slight distinction there.
Well, you better make that distinction clear. Kaleb, I'm going to take liberties with this phrase.
Yeah, I think we look at Jesus and we look at his life, and I think we've talked about that previously, how he engaged children, how he had a love for children. And I think when we think about the aspect of being childlike, we think of their innocence. We think of, or at least I think of their innocence. I think of their ability to trust, right?
Unless you become like a child, he said.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And their ability to just imagine, right? Like in the moment. One of the things for our kids is they put on a rodeo, right? And so it's like, really? And they drag out all this stuff and, you get the tape player out, but they loving it. And they're just in there, they're enjoying it. And so just that moment.
Spontaneous.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Living in the present, as we have previously mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's, in my mind, it's appropriate. This follows living with an appreciative heart in the sense that one of the things that I often try to remind myself, to use the analogy of swimming, is that if I stay in the deep end of the pool, eventually I'm going to drown, right? So if I'm always kind of trying to sort out deep, hard, theological, or just challenges of life, eventually I drowned. So it's really important for me to swim to the shallow end of the pool.
Where you can stand.
Where I can just stand on the very simple, basic things. And I think kids are very good at that, like you're talking about there, Kaleb, because if we don't do that, eventually we just get drowned out by the challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's so freeing just to be able to say, it's important to just be simple here sometimes. That it's just important to just trust sometimes. And I don't have to have it figured out. I don't have to know. I don't always have to have an answer. I can just celebrate and, just live apart from the reality that it's hard sometimes.
Are you giving me liberty then, Brian, to enjoy the comics in the newspaper, just enjoy the read there every day, or do I need to look over my shoulder?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. That it's good to have to be able to laugh and to be able to have those simple things that just touch your heart, And I think that's so neat, so good.
Absolutely. I think of Proverbs, a merry heart
does good like a medicine.
Yeah, it does good like a medicine. That the aspect of laughter, and it's well known even in secular research, right? How laughter is good for us as humans. And I think just that ability to step back and enjoy and appreciate and being able to laugh together. It doesn't mean we're doing this all day long, but to be able to be purposeful, we need to be purposeful about it.
It's an amazing creation. Isn't laughter amazing creation? I mean, and you've been maybe on some short-term mission trips or whatever. I'm always amazed. We laugh. And in fact, the same things strike us funny, whether you're in Ethiopia, in Haiti, or Jamaica. We laugh about things. And then if you think about God's creation of it, how it tightens our diaphragm and we kind of up and down and we laugh, and it's really. Why for the survival of the species? I'm not real sure.
Right. Oh,
there must be another reason.
I think there's something deeply connecting about that, though. When you engage in that with a group, I even think of families, and I think of an author and a speaker who once he talked about how he would go to different events and see different families interacting and enjoying each other. And one of the common themes that he found between this group of families is that they would camp, right? They'd go out and do camping together, and he had never camped before. So he's like, we're going to go do this. And it's a total disaster. It's flat tire, it rains, it's wind. But he said we laughed about that. The rest, we still laugh about it. And just how those memories, right, connected them in a very, very deep way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's where sometimes we just take ourselves too seriously, you know. And of course, that's a part of life, and we want to do that. But at times, too, it is good to just let our hair down, to laugh with each other, to do silly things. Yeah, those simple things that maybe only are funny for you, or maybe are only funny for your family, and to have those precious things that mean something to you guys.
That's being childlikeness.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Brothers, give us some practical things. If for a stick in the mud like myself, I need a little help. Loosen me up.
Yeah. Well, I think even just a small thing would be, think about when you get home to try to have one story from your day that's going to crack a smile from somebody that you know. You know, if you're married and have kids, somebody in your family. If you're single and home alone, that it's you make a phone call to a friend and you share that story. You know, just to have something that is small. It doesn't have to be a deep belly laugh, but just, it just cracks a smile.
Right. Something fun. And I can visualize that around the dinner table.
Yes.
Going around and saying, what was something amusing today? Or what was something that caught your fancy?
Yeah, and be okay with it just being really simple, really small. Like, I think sometimes we think it's got to be something really big, and maybe it's just the fact that you noticed that there was a bird that flew into a window.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know what? Another one around the table would probably pick that story up and make it a little bit better, or say something else, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden I think sometimes we find that there is laughter that's just right underneath the surface when we're together.
And I think stories are a great way that God uses to kind of tap in to emotion. And definitely happiness and joy would fit into that.
And laughter is certainly contagious, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
yes.
I mean, have you ever been in a group where there was just one yucking it up? You know?
Yeah.
Only one person laughing, just having a great time?
Yeah.
No, it spreads.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, everybody is laughing and has caught that. I think that was part of God's design and his creation of the laugh.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, one of the things that just as a family that we really enjoy is family videos, is spending some time going back, and it's just hilarious. Like the kids love it too.
The
Seeing
memory
themselves,
lane.
yeah, absolutely. When they were 1 year old and cooing, but we just, to be able
And
to sit
Dad,
there
that
together.
tie you're wearing is so funny.
Yeah.
All we have to do is look at ourselves, don't we?
Yeah.
And then we
Yes.
should be laughing. Right?
Yes, and if we can do that, if we can laugh about ourselves, or even I think for us as good Germans, one of the things we really value is like hard work and being really frugal. Those are good things. But you know what? On your way home, stop at the gas station and buy a thing of chocolates and hand that out to your friends or your neighbors or your family. I'm all for budgets, but there's there's $1.50 there you can probably work with, once a month.
And the gain that you would get on that $1.50, that would be a great investment.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Brothers, thanks for being on this show and sharing on this very important topic. I think there was a lot of life that was shared and a lot of truth. And that's our intention here with Breaking Bread, with an important topic such as being joyful. We started a podcast talking about how joy doesn't translate to the face oftentimes. Speak to the importance of that right here as we close that if we are not living joyfully as a believer, what is at stake?
Yeah, I think that is a good, important thing for us to remember, that us abiding in Christ, having salvation in Christ, that it is a worthy thing to be able to communicate, just even through our faces. One of my goals on Sunday morning when I stand in the room in Sunday school and the brothers are along the wall and all the kids are sitting in the pews, my hope is that I am happy and smiling, and that they can see from my face that I am excited to be there, that I love singing to the Lord, and I really try to do that with my face, and I think that's important for all of us to think about. That's a small way that I try to do that.
And that's one way that the world knows that this Jesus thing works.
Yes.
Yeah. I think even as we, interact even outside of that with unbelievers or wherever that's at, is that this treasure that we have, right, is glowing forth. Not only we don't just keep it in here, but we allow it to radiate forth. And I think some of these things take effort and take energy, but allow that light, right, that joy, that vibrancy to
happen.
Yeah.
And we read that in 1 Peter chapter 3, that they will ask the reason of the hope that is within us. And when they see that hope first on our faces and then out our lips, then they'll ask because they'll want it too. What a wonderful thing. And so just to recap, we've talked about living intentionally. Number 2, we talked about living in the present. Number 3, talked about living with acceptance. Number 4, talked about living with an appreciative heart. And 5, we concluded with living in childlikeness. Listeners, I trust and pray that this has been a blessing for you. And again, always feel free, and we welcome you to visit our website, whereby you might find helpful resources as you live this challenging world, within this challenging world with all kinds of demands upon us, that we might live joyfully. Goodbye.